This is a response to RockingMrE's video, The Failure of Affirmative Action. Mr. E's video primarily addresses affirmative action towards women based on the idea that women are paid less, which has been debunked by, like, everyone. This video is about affirmative actions towards racial minorities, especially African Americans, and since Mr. E is against that too, I feel this is an appropriate response. Let me clarify, I am against affirmative action based on race and gender, and I think it should be banned, but that isn't going to happen since the left wants affirmative action, and the right doesn't want government to interfere with the hiring policies of a business. I do agree, though, that affirmative action based on economic status is okay, which I will discuss later in this video. Now, one case for affirmative action is that it could get a business publicity and workers. Many feminists and social justice activists will endorse a business that implements affirmative action. The business will also likely attract minorities to apply, giving the business a larger pool of people to choose from and costing other businesses minorities that would have applied and been qualified. So there is definitely a capitalist argument to be made on affirmative action, although there might be ethical concerns on preying on people's fears and prejudices. Now, the more obvious reason people support affirmative action is to end racism, and there's no doubt that racism is prevalent in American society, especially against African Americans and Hispanics. For example, black people who commit crimes are put in jail for a longer time than whites, and committing a crime against a black person will be seen as less serious than committing a crime against a white person. Blacks are less likely to go to college, they're more likely to be in poverty, and more likely to have AIDS and other health problems. We can't deny that black people have less privilege in our society. As we look at the hiring policies of companies, it is incredibly clear that it is biased towards whites. Black men with no criminal record are less likely to get a job than a white person with a criminal record. Since blacks are less likely to have a job, they're less likely to have the experience required to get a promotion, and their families will be poor and disadvantaged, creating generations of poor minorities, which definitely does not help their image. The reason why I support affirmative action based on socioeconomic status is because someone who is poor is likely to work harder than someone who is rich because they have more to lose if they don't get the job. It is possible that they are as qualified as a richer person, but the rich person has a better education and past job experience because they are able to buy their way into these things. And indeed, a lot of problems racial minorities have is because they started out with a lower status than whites. Now, if we take into account that a black person is equally qualified but doesn't appear to be because they are denied chances of higher educations or job experience, we can assume that affirmative action will help him get the place he deserves. Now, you stated that a business should hire the most qualified person because it would help them, but there might be emotional and economic reasons why a person wouldn't hire a black man over a white one. They might be racist consciously or subconsciously, and there are several tests that show that people are racist subconsciously towards blacks, including other black people. However, if the person wasn't racist, what reasons would he have to deny black a job? Well, let's compare this to another form of prejudice. Homosexual men are more likely to have HIV than other demographics, and thus they are banned from donating blood even if they don't have the virus because our government fears the risks. It is true that anal sex, whether heterosexual or homosexual has the same risks of getting STIs, but due to the fact that AIDS is much more prevalent in the homosexual community, it would be reasonable to ban a homosexual man who has anal sex from donating blood than it would be a heterosexual who has anal sex. Well, on a similar note, black men are more likely to become criminals, they have a shorter lifespan, they're more likely to have health problems, and they're more likely to become a victim of a crime. An employer may fear the risk of hiring a black person based on pure statistics, and will choose the white person who is more likely to have a longer, healthier life, and thus be good for the company in the long term. Diversifying a workforce is the second objective of affirmative action after helping minorities get off their feet. Many people argue that diversity in the workforce is a good thing because it have people of different ethnicities collaborating and will presumably help end prejudices and bigotry they hold against each other. And they will be able to share their experience based on their different backgrounds to allow the company to progress in the right direction. Anyways, that's my video on affirmative action, so comment or post a video response if you have any criticisms or whatever. Thank you for watching.